It's Talk Forward with Tim Armstrong, Sebastian Kalinkip and Sarah Manaparathi. 107.2 Secret FM.
Kia ora, welcome back. And joining us now is Dirty Politics author Nicky Hager. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good to be with you.
Thanks. Okay, so if we go to our first question here, do you think dirty politics will continue to haunt Key throughout this term? He did a pretty good job of avoiding questions throughout the election campaign. Do you think that will continue, or do you see him being held to account at some point?
I think he did a really bad job of dodging the questions because everyone could see him doing it during the election campaign. And while, it didn't change the election, a lot of people were noticing, and I think it will be changing people's views of him and the kind of person he is. What do I think will happen from now? Well, all politics depends on people actually doing stuff and being bothered to do stuff. But the feeling I get is that a lot of people care about this and are motivated about it, and so the questions will follow him along in the months or possibly years to come.
Yeah, what do you think of him continuing to dodge questions on this issue even throughout this week?
My view in life is that the one thing we should be able to expect from politicians is that they hear a question and they answer what was asked of them. I regard that as basic respect of the public. And with John Key, when he doesn't want to, he simply won't answer the questions. And I think it's treating the public with disrespect. And I think a lot of people see that that's happening. So although it's kind of got short-term benefit because he's hoping he'll shut the issue down, I think he's just hurting himself in the long term.
Right, okay. So our next question is, do you think John Key has claimed to know who Rorschach, the dirty politics hacker, is? Can you see any truth to this claim? Do you believe him?
I'd never want to be 100% confident in my views, but I think he's totally, utterly making it up, and he has no idea.
Why do you think he would do that? Make it up?
Why did he say it? I think it was kind of bravado. He was trying to sound like, hey, I'm a guy, I'm in control of everything, I know everything that's going on, and I'm still relaxed about it. But I think it's just going to be another thing in this whole story of dirty politics, which comes back to haunt him because it was a really dumb comment, and he doesn't know, and if he did know, he should have told the police, and it just didn't make any sense.
These accusations against his party and his members of his party and in his office are quite strong. He is avoiding the question, but do you think avoiding it is perhaps the best thing? If this is true, this could really sort of shut him down. I know.
Well, that's a fair question because during the election campaign, I thought, wow, the whole country can see him dodging the question, and he still won. And in fact, it helped him then not to have to own up to stuff because a lot of people just thought I was making it up.
Would you say that voters saw all of this, but do you think that the fact that they voted for National Gain shows that they don't really care about these types of matters?
No, I didn't take it from that. Elections are really complicated. They're made up of different things, and this election was made up of a completely useless opposition in Labour that people didn't respect very much. It was made up of a presidential style of campaigning where people thought they had to choose between David Cunliffe and John Key. It was made up of a huge disproportion of resources where the national government had vastly more resources to fight the election. So there were a lot of good reasons why they were going to win, whether or not I did that book and raise those issues.
Yeah.
But now we've got time, and this is where I think the issues will start to bite them.
What do you think of the claim that people are saying, well, all politicians do this, they're all dirty? What do you think, what's your view on that?
Well, my life is studying politicians and writing about them, and I know it's not true. That's a very cynical view because it's actually saying to ordinary people, they're all bastards, you shouldn't take any notice of them, it's a dirty game, just switch off and don't be interested in politics because it's all bad. Whereas I know that most people go into politics to try to do good. And it's only a small minority of people who do the kind of dirty tricks that are coming out of Key's office.
Do you think that John Key has gone in to do something good? Or do you think, is that what you're saying?
What are his intentions?
Yeah.
John Key's a special case. He's a very clever politician, but he went into politics from being a rich finance trader, and he'd never shown any interest in politics before. He's not interested in foreign policy. He knows nothing about social policy. He'd never done a day's work in a community group or something to help people, and it felt to me like he was going there for kind of like his bucket list.
Yeah,
he would be Prime Minister of a country. He'd meet important people overseas.
Do you think it's a game to him, sort of?
It feels like a game, and frankly, part of his game has been useful for New Zealand because he decided he could be more successful by being centrist and not being far right, which was a good thing. But I don't think he believes in much, no.
So even though John Key, didn't show much interest in the community or politics before this, he does have experience in the business industry and the economics industry. Is that experience more valuable than perhaps a career politician who some people despise because they don't have experience in the real world?
Oh, a little bit. He definitely brought skills with him like managing people and being able to make decisions and survive crises and things. So now he's been a successful politician. But what I've noticed is that I think that when he's gone, he will be completely gone, and people will try to remember, well, what exactly did he do? What did we get from there? What changed? What was the point of those 9 years? And there's not going to be very much to see for it at all.
Okay, so if we move on to a slightly different topic, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard one of the titles that were tossed around for the book was Abuse of Power. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you think that would have made a difference to the way it was received, or not really?
Oh, put a different title on the book?
Yes.
Now, another good question, because when you write a book, I always say this in writing classes and things, the title is half the job, because the title goes much further than the book does. And I worried and wondered about the book the whole time I was writing it, the whole time I was writing it. That title would have been quite good, but it actually didn't capture most of what the book was about. There was a small bit of abuse of power and a large amount of dirty tricks and scandals and attacking people and smearing them and stuff. So it would have been a reasonable title, but in the end, my publishers were really keen on the one I had, and I think it was probably right.
Okay. Just last question. What's the future for you now that or Daddy Politics is starting to die down a bit, in a way?
Well, for me, I'm in a lucky position. This is my sixth book, which is
Yes.
and many more projects which have had an effect. And I live my life like I think lots of people want to, and I hope you and the people who are listening want to, which is I want to do as much good as I can while I'm on Earth. And so I'll be trying to find more projects that I think are worthwhile and more ways that I can serve society, because that's what I think we should all be doing with our lives.
What do you have to say to young journalists? I mean, Tim, sorry, what are you trying to say here?
What do you have to say to young aspiring journalists or young people who are facing or are seeing something that is corrupt and going on and want to do something about it?
Well, the first thing I'd say for everybody is please never believe that cynical talk about how politics is all bad and everyone's bad, because actually politics is better or worse depending on each person's contribution to it, and everybody should be finding people who they like and to work with and ways to be involved so they can make a difference. On the specific subject of journalism is a hard career because the whole media is in crisis, and it's not the best place in the world to work. But on the other hand, I believe that journalism, like doctors and like nurses and like other professions, are some of the key ones where you can actually serve society and do something worthwhile. And so I think, what would I say to a young journalist? Be aware that you're going into a difficult work environment, but believe in the profession, because there are ways to do it.
And that's been the Dirty Politics or the Nicky Hager. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you. Bye.
We've got...